We live in a world where we believe everything is real. But is it? When the body falls and the knee is scraped, there is pain. When the skin is cut, there is blood. When the body is sick, tired, or uncomfortable, the experience feels real. And to the body, it is real. The body feels it. The nervous system responds to it. The mind labels it. But does it touch what you truly are? And even as I say what you truly are, I have to pause, because even that is not completely correct. What you are cannot truly be labeled, named, described, or defined. The moment we call it self, awareness, consciousness, silence, or truth, we have already placed a word on that which is beyond words. But for the sake of pointing, let us say this: what happens to the body happens to the body. What happens to the mind happens to the mind. But does it happen to you? This brings us to the ego. We speak of the ego as if it is something real. We say, my ego was hurt. We say, the ego wants attention. We say, the ego wants to be important. We say, the ego wants to attach, control, defend, compare, and become greater than others. But stop and ask, who wants to be important? What wants to be seen? Who is attached? What is offended? Do not answer too quickly. Do not let the mind rush in and give you a spiritual answer. Just ask the question and wait. When you look directly, you may see something very simple. What we call ego is not an actual thing. It is a name we have given to movement in the mind. A thought appears. A feeling appears. A reaction appears. A desire appears. A defense appears. Then we say, that is my ego. But where is this ego? Can you find it? Can you touch it? Can you see it? Can you locate it apart from thought? When a thought comes and says, I was disrespected, we call that ego. When a thought comes and says, I need to prove myself, we call that ego. When a thought comes and says, I am better, or I am worse, we call that ego. But without the thought, where is the ego? The ego does not stand by itself. It has no independent existence. It borrows its life from thought, memory, identity, and belief. Remove the thought, and the ego disappears. So maybe ego is not something that exists. Maybe ego is only a label placed on thoughts that arise and pass away. And where do these thoughts come from? They appear from nowhere. They arise out of the unknown, out of the dark space, out of silence. A thought appears, stays for a moment, then dissolves. Another thought appears. Another emotion appears. Another reaction appears. This happens every day, every hour, every minute. Sometimes the mind becomes quiet. Sometimes there is peace. Sometimes there is stillness. But sooner or later, another thought comes. And when the thought comes, we believe something has happened to us. But has it? Or has a thought simply appeared? This is where we must look deeper. If all is Maya, then the ego is Maya too. Everything that comes and goes is Maya. Everything that appears and disappears is Maya. Everything that is born and dies is Maya. The body comes and goes. The world comes and goes. Emotions come and go. Thoughts come and go. Identity comes and goes. So, if ego comes and goes, how can it be real? That which is real does not come and go. That which is real has no beginning and no end. That which is real does not need a name. It simply is. Now listen closely. As I am speaking, there are words. Then there is a pause. Then another word comes. Then another pause. What exists between the words? Not as an object, not as something you can hold, but what is there before the next word appears? There is silence. There is space. There is no ego there. There is no identity there. There is no story there. There is no me trying to become something. In that pause, nothing is missing. In that pause, nothing needs to be defended. In that pause, there is no ego. The ego only appears when thought appears and is believed. So the question is not, how do I destroy the ego? The question is, can the ego be found at all? Because if it cannot be found, then what are we trying to destroy? We are fighting a shadow. We are battling a name. We are trying to kill something that never truly existed. The ego is not an enemy. It is not a demon. It is not some powerful force living inside you. It is only thought believed to be me. A thought appears, and we say, I am angry. A thought appears, and we say, I am hurt. A thought appears, and we say, I am important. A thought appears, and we say, I am not enough. But before the thought appeared, were you lacking anything? And after the thought disappears, where did the ego go? Look there. Look into that gap. Look into that silence. Not with the mind trying to understand, but by being still. The space between thoughts is not owned by the ego. The silence between words is not created by the mind. The stillness underneath all appearances does not come and go. And yet, even to call it silence, stillness, awareness, or self is only a pointer. The truth cannot be captured. It can only be rested in. So when ego appears, do not fight it. Question it. When pride appears, ask, who is proud? When hurt appears, ask, who is hurt? When fear appears, ask, who is afraid? When the need to be seen appears, ask, who wants to be seen? And then wait. Let the question dissolve into silence. Because in that silence, you may discover something profound. The ego was never real. It was only a thought. It was only a label. It was only Maya. And what you are does not need to defeat it. What you are remains untouched. Before the thought, during the thought, after the thought, always silent, nameless, unmoved. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who may be seeking the same. Silence. Help to grow the channel beyond the I am.